Hello, you, and welcome back to Whispers After 50. I'm Patricia, and today I'm going to share a very personal chapter of my life. A true story about a kind of heartbreak that often goes unspoken, yet touches so many of us as we age. It's the profound grief of losing a lifelong best friend. For over 50 years, Sarah wasn't just a friend. She was my sister by choice, my confidant, my shared history, my witness to every joy and sorrow. Her passing 18 months ago left an empty chair at my kitchen table and in my heart that seemed utterly impossible to fill. Have you ever experienced that unique, aching void left by a friend who understood you like no one else? That feeling of losing a part of your own history, a living memory of who you used to be. That quiet fear of facing daily life without that familiar voice on the other end of the phone, or the thought of navigating future milestones alone? This isn't just my true story of grief. It's an honest look at the unexpected loneliness that follows such a loss, and the daunting task of learning to navigate a social world that feels suddenly smaller and utterly unfamiliar. I'm going to be completely open about the moments of profound sadness, the awkwardness of trying to make new connections, and the surprising, sometimes difficult steps I took to rediscover meaning, find new friendships, and honor the enduring bond I shared. My hope is that my journey can offer you some insight and perhaps a little comfort if you're walking a similar path. Let's talk about honoring our past and bravely embracing new connections. Sarah and I met in kindergarten. We navigated childhood scraped knees, teenage crushes, wedding planning, raising families, and even our children's weddings. She was the first person I called with good news and the one who knew exactly what to say during bad times. Our friendship was a constant, a bedrock in a constantly changing world. She knew my stories better than I did, could finish my sentences, and shared that deep, unspoken understanding that only decades of shared life can forge. We had a secret language of glances, a shared history of inside jokes that no one else understood. So when she passed away unexpectedly after a sudden illness, my world tilted on its axis. The phone calls stopped. The weekly coffee dates vanished. The texts about our grandkids' antics ceased. It wasn't just a loss. It was a daily amputation of a fundamental part of my routine, my identity. Her absence was a physical presence in my home, particularly that empty chair at my kitchen table where we'd shared countless cups of tea and even more laughs. Every morning, the silence where her cheerful "good morning" used to be was a fresh, sharp pain. The initial period was a blur of numbness and tears. Friends and family were wonderfully supportive, bringing meals, offering condolences, making sure I wasn't alone. They were a lifeline, truly. But eventually, life for everyone else moved on, and I was left in our big quiet house, facing the overwhelming reality of being truly alone. Every corner held a memory, every object a ghost of a shared moment. His armchair by the fireplace sat empty. His side of the bed remained untouched. I felt like a lost ship adrift without its anchor. The very air in the house seemed to hum, with her absence a constant low thrum of loneliness. The practicalities of living alone were daunting, even though David, my husband who passed years before Sarah, had handled many things. But losing Sarah was different. It was a social amputation. My once active social life began to shrink. I started declining invitations to bridge club or church gatherings. It felt too hard to be around groups of people where Sarah wasn't there, or where I had to pretend to be fine. I didn't want to burden anyone with my sadness, so I often put on a brave face saying, "Oh, I'm just taking it easy these days." But inside, I was battling a profound sense of isolation. The television became my loudest companion. My days were filled with quiet, punctuated only by the occasional memory that would bring a fresh wave of tears. You might know that feeling when the world outside feels too bright, too noisy, too full of connections that you no longer feel a part of. Even laughter from other rooms felt like a cruel reminder of the joy I felt was missing from my own life. My biggest red flag wasn't the grief itself, but my own stubborn refusal to seek out new connections. I convinced myself that no one could ever truly understand me, truly know me like Sarah did, so why bother trying? I clung to the comfort of my solitude, even though it was becoming a prison of loneliness. I worried that reaching out would make me seem needy, or that new friendships would feel shallow and superficial compared to the 50 years of depth I had lost. This internal dialogue, this self-imposed isolation, was far more limiting than any real external barrier. It was as if I was guarding Sarah's memory by shutting everyone else out, ironically isolating myself even further. I remember one particularly low point. It was a beautiful Sunday afternoon, the kind of day Sarah and I would have spent at the farmer's market, then a long lunch talking about everything and nothing. I sat alone in my kitchen, a cup of tea growing cold beside me. I looked at that empty chair at the worn cushion where she always sat and felt a sudden sharp pang of utter despair. I missed her so much it hurt a physical ache in my chest. But more than that, I missed the me that I was with her. She was my mirror, my sounding board. Without her, I felt like a puzzle with a crucial piece, missing a story half told adrift. It was a chilling realization, almost a silent lament, that echoed through the quiet house. Was this my life now? Just me in the empty chair, forever defined by what I had lost? Would I forever be one of those unfortunate souls who withered away after loss? The thought was agonizing, a heavy weight pressing down on me. That moment, staring at the empty chair, feeling so utterly alone, was my true turning point. I couldn't let my grief, however profound, define the rest of my life. Sarah would have hated to see me like this. She was always the one pushing me to try new things, to meet new people, to live life to the fullest. It wasn't about replacing her. It was about honoring her spirit by choosing to live fully, to embrace new joys. My daughter, bless her heart, sensing my quiet despair, despite my brave facade, gently encouraged me to try a senior social group at the community center. That terrifying step, forcing myself out the door, was the first real step forward. This led to my first incredibly vital lesson. True connection is always possible, but it often requires a brave step outside your comfort zone, even when your heart feels fragile and guarded. I dragged myself to that first social group meeting. It was awkward. I felt shy, unsure how to start conversations, fearing I had nothing interesting to say. But as I listened to others share their stories, I realized many were also navigating loss or simply seeking companionship. I managed a few hesitant conversations about my grandchildren, about the weather. That tiny act of showing up, of being present, of being open to the possibility, was a huge victory. My initial fear gradually gave way to a tiny spark of hope with each new conversation, each shared smile, each moment of quiet understanding. My second lesson was about embracing new forms of connection and broadening my definition of friendship. I couldn't expect to find another Sarah, and that was okay. Instead, I focused on appreciating the unique qualities of new people, the different perspectives they brought. I found out our local library offered a walking book club, perfect for my love of reading and getting fresh air. Hesitantly, I joined. It was wonderful. The people were diverse from all walks of life and just as eager to connect. We weren't just discussing books. We were sharing snippets of our lives, our frustrations, our small triumphs. This wasn't just about finding new hobbies. It was about genuine camaraderie, about realizing I wasn't alone in this journey of rebuilding my social world. I discovered that new connections, while different, could also be incredibly rich and deeply meaningful. Third, I learned the importance of actively nurturing new relationships just as I had nurtured old ones. It wasn't enough to just show up. I started inviting people for coffee after the book club. I offered to carpool to events, making a conscious effort to remember names and details about their lives. I sent thoughtful notes or made short phone calls just to check in. It felt vulnerable, like putting myself out there in ways I hadn't since I was a teenager, but with each reciprocal gesture, a new bond strengthened. I learned that friendship at any age is a two-way street, requiring effort, openness, and a willingness to invest. These new connections, born from shared interests and mutual willingness, began to fill the quiet spaces in my heart, weaving a new tapestry of companionship that felt both comforting and exciting. And finally, the most profound lesson: honoring the past doesn't mean living in it. It means carrying the love forward into new experiences. For so long, I felt that moving on, finding joy, was somehow betraying Sarah's memory, but I realized she would have wanted me to live fully. My new friendships, my renewed social life, they were not a replacement for her, but an extension of the love and connection she taught me to cherish. I learned to forgive myself for my initial isolation, to accept that grief is a fluid process that will always be a part of my story of my life. But that true strength lies in embracing both the cherished memories and the vibrant possibilities of the present. I realized that my own journey, my story of my life after Sarah, could also be a source of strength for others. My journey from the empty chair to finding a new seat at the table has been truly transformative. There are still days when I miss Sarah acutely, of course, a sharp pang that reminds me of her. But now, the quiet doesn't feel empty. It feels peaceful, often filled with anticipation for my next social outing or a new book to discuss. I've found a rhythm, a balance, and a renewed sense of purpose and connection that enriches my life immensely. I've realized that this chapter, while unexpected and challenging, is a powerful testament to the endless capacity of the human spirit to heal, to adapt, and to find joy even after the deepest loss. So if you're navigating the profound loss of a friend, feeling the weight of loneliness, or wondering how to rebuild your social world in later life, know this: you are not alone. My true story taught me that while grief is a powerful force, it doesn't have to define your entire future. You possess an incredible capacity for resilience, for learning, and for rediscovering joy, even when it feels impossible. Remember, finding new connections isn't about replacing those you've lost. It's about honoring them by continuing to live fully and embracing new bonds. It's okay to feel lost, but it's vital to take those small, brave steps toward reaching out and finding your new community. You are stronger than you think, and you deserve a life filled with purpose and companionship. Have you experienced the journey of losing a close friend in later life? What steps did you take to find your way and rediscover joy? Or what advice would you give to someone just beginning this challenging but ultimately rewarding chapter? Please share your stories and your wisdom in the comments below. Your insights could truly light the way for someone else navigating similar feelings. If this true story resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Whispers After 50 for more authentic conversations about our life's beautiful journey. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thank you for watching, and always remember, every whisper of experience holds invaluable wisdom.